Here's Brody Brazil.
I wanted to make this video to address a comment that I've seen a lot in recent months and years. I've seen it here on YouTube. I've seen it on Twitter, various social platforms. People have mentioned it to me in person. Hey, Brody, what about a Major League Baseball team in Sacramento? Like specifically, what about the A's? If they can't work it out in Oakland, why has Sacramento and a move there never been considered? It wouldn't entirely be like losing the A's. It kind of would be. I mean, that's like 90 miles and an hour and a half drive away from the Bay Area. But they would also be still tangible and visitable for people in the East Bay and beyond. Anyway, I'll get into all this stuff, but I do want to spend a couple minutes here now and tell you why it's not as easy as it ever seemed over the years. But maybe if the A's don't exist in Oakland in a couple years, maybe this is something to be considered. You take a look at the Snapshot of Sacramento. They've had the Kings since 1985. They've had a minor league franchise, the River Cats, who were the A's old AAA affiliate and now the current San Francisco Giants affiliate, since 2000. But even before that, they've had a long history of minor league baseball teams in that market. They're the 20th biggest media market, which means, hey, if places like Kansas City and Cincinnati can have teams and Pittsburgh can have teams, why can't Sacramento? It's not just the city of Sacramento. It's Stockton, it's Modesto, it's up into the foothills. It's a little bit more spread out maybe than traditional, but the Sacramento market has a 2.6 million population in the region, right? So it's not just the city of Sacramento. It's all the other places of where this market could draw its sports fans from. So here's my thoughts on why moving the A's never made sense. Why relocating an East Bay team out to Sacramento, it never hit right. And by the way, you should check out another video I've got here on the channel. Arco Park. Do you remember that? Do you even know what I'm talking about? Because Arco Arena doesn't even exist anymore. They just pushed it over late last year. But there was an existing concrete structure, a foundation of a ballpark that they started to build. They spent $16 million in the beginning construction phases of a baseball/football stadium for Sacramento. They were trying to lure the Raiders. They were trying to lure the A's. Again, this is mid to late 80s. They had just landed the Kings. They were all hyped up. It never happened. So this conversation has been going on for a long time, but my first thought is that if you move the A's from the East Bay to Sacramento at any point in the past, it's like too close for a honeymoon. It's not special to Sacramento. Like a lot of people from the 916 could make a long drive and go to an A's game. It's probably not their first time ever attending an A's game. It's not like a team moved from across the country or some great distance and this is all a brand new feel. It really wouldn't have that honeymoon phase. The geography just doesn't play that way. So look, I'm not saying Sacramento wouldn't be excited. I'm just saying it wouldn't hit as a team changing states or something like that. I also feel like there might be hard feelings in the fan base. You think people from the East Bay are now going to drive up to Sacramento to continue watching their team? And it's nothing against the Bay Area and Sacramento. It's just like, wait, you moved my team where I fell in love with them and now you expect me to just go that much further, literally go the extra 90 miles for it? You know, that may not play well with the existing fan base, also with tweeners. I'm talking about people in like Vacaville or Fairfield or Concord. You know, you're kind of on the way to Sacramento from the Bay Area, or let's say you're in a community. I guess I'm trying to think Vacaville, like the Nut Tree. If you're west of Sacramento, well, it's still a long drive into Oakland, but you're kind of in that middle ground on the I-80 corridor. I don't know, do some people in there feel good or bad about the move? Do they even care? It never really made sense in terms of the fan base and what they would actually think about a move like this. But more than that, realistically here, if you were ever going to get the A's to move to Sacramento, it would kind of have to be one of those situations where there was a stadium first and then the team moved. I mean, look at the Oakland A's. When the Coliseum was going up, they were still in Kansas City. They built the Coliseum for the Raiders. And then the A's knew there was availability. They happened to move there too. it would kind of have to be that same situation that Sacramento would already be building a stadium like they tried to do in the mid-'80s. And then, okay, this can happen in the course of one off season, which obviously brings a huge challenge because you got to pay for things, you got to put them up before a team can actually commit to moving there. So those things just never made sense. But I will say, if you're Sacramento and you're serious about Major League Baseball in the future, most likely in the form of an expansion team, now is the time. Look what Salt Lake has done in the last couple weeks. They've put their name out there in the hat. They've got a group organized and strategizing with baseball to try and lure a team. Same thing with Orlando, although Orlando sounds more like a relocation spot for Tampa Bay than it does for expansion. I'll do a whole separate video on that eventually. Montreal would love an expansion team all over again. Portland has been in the mix for years. Austin, Texas would like a team, although I don't know that baseball would put 3 teams in Texas. It's not unprecedented with California. I don't know. Charlotte, that's another town that's looking to land a baseball team. And I'm separating all of them. I'm giving Nashville the green check because from what I understand and the way I see it, Nashville is a sure thing for one of the 2 expansion teams that baseball is very likely to do within the span of this decade, the 2020s. So in my mind, that one is a done deal. Everybody else is fighting for the other expansion spot. My point is, if you're Sacramento and you want to lure a Major League Baseball team, like I know maybe over the years you've laid quiet because the A's exist and you don't really. There would never be Major League Baseball if it were San Francisco, Oakland, and Sacramento. Major League Baseball would never have that many teams just in a small geography. They wouldn't do it. But if the A's do move, like this is something Sacramento should be preparing itself for. If you're serious about it and you want to get a team there, this is where you start. Now, all of that, and I want to say for my River Cats friends out there watching this, I'm not trying to step on your toes here. I don't know how that would go. I don't know how those two things would coexist. I really don't know. I'm just saying to answer the question of so many people over so many weeks, months, and years who ask the question, what about a baseball team, a big league team in Sacramento? This is basically my answer. Hey, thumbs up on this video since you've watched here all the way to the end. I really appreciate that. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel so that I can see you next time.